What's up, humans, and welcome to episode 40 of the Human Music Podcast. Action Paxton, drummer, engineer, producer. Action Paxton is an engineer and Producer Dojo alum who has toured the world as a drummer and recorded legends at his Bay Area music studio. Recently, he's made the move to LA and dropped records on the upstart EDM label, Motherwolf. He's here to tell you about how to build relationships in the music industry, what it's like performing for juggalos, and that one time Andre Nickatina snatched his lead singer's camera. Don't worry, he gave it back. Support our sponsors, the weekly download from the Producer Dojo, where you get access to over 200 lessons from our mentor, Il Gates. Also, Gvngaroo Records music distribution, where you can get unlimited uploads for under $10. And finally, Guest Practices, where you can learn from Seth Drake, the best engineer we know. The first class is free. Those links are in the description. Make sure you support them. And without further ado, here's the episode.
Hello, people of Earth. This is Tesco with Rip Kenny and Trap Jesus, and you're listening to the Human Music Podcast. Woo!
Human Music Podcast. I like it. What's up, humans? Welcome back to the Human Music Podcast. Today we have on a very special guest, my friend Action Paxton. He's a killer producer. He's super multi-talented. He can produce in lots of genres, and he's collabed with some awesome people. We're going to get into all of that. But first, I'll just give the man a chance to introduce himself. What's good, Chris?
Oh, man, nothing much. Just hanging out here at my house in LA. Stoked to be on the podcast with you guys and just actually get to sit down and chat with you more than taking lessons from you in the dojo. So, I mean, that's how we all met. And yeah, man, stoked to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Let's start off. Just we like to kind of kick off episodes with a little bit of that, like, producer superhero origin story. Like, what were your early like gettings into of the music, and when you realized you could really make this your passion in life?
Well, those were two very far away times from each other. I got into music when I was about 7 years old, and my grandpa was a saxophonist in the big band era. So I really looked up to him, and he was kind of like my inspiration to get going. So I picked up an alto sax in 5th grade. And before I was doing a little piano stuff, but started playing sax. And yeah, that's when it started kind of coming together and just building a love for music. But then I always knew that there was going to be something else, some other instrument that like just called to me more. And eventually I found it, and I've been drumming for 24 years, something like that, and did like the rock band thing, was in like ska, punk, alternative hip hop, Beastie Boys ish stuff, and built bands around rappers. And so I've done that multiple times. There was a group called Hard Knocks. I mean, they're still around. They have like a day bikini or topless party at Sapphire Pool in Vegas. So that's what they're doing. So hats off to them. But I built a band around them. I built a band around artists I still work with now, Wolfhawk Jaguar. I built a band around...
Badass name, by the way.
Oh, yeah, man. 3 animals, 1 name, Wolfhawk Jaguar. And we're putting out a bunch of stuff here. He lives in Tanzania. So yeah, I mean... Anyway, back to the origin story. I started the jazz band in my middle school. I got into all just playing, doing everything.
You started it?
We didn't have one at the time, so I was
we need a jazz band.
Yeah, I want to be in a jazz band. So I got my homie Ryan Finney, which was a bass player in every single band that I've been in after that, or not every band, but we just kind of grew together. We went to Expressions College together. We went to Cal State Hayward together. So Expressions is where I got a bachelor's degree in sound engineering. And simultaneously when I was doing that, which is 2004, I opened up my recording studio in Oakland, which is called Nexus Audio. And we've been doing like all the Bay Area hip hop stuff for the past 16 years, from everyone from Krayshawn to Kamaya to Mr. Fab to Irk the Jerk or Kevin Allen now. I mean, tons of people. So
Man, that's a good list of names. Shouts to Krayshawn, Gucci.
Yeah,
still my jam.
Gucci, V Nasty too. That whole little that was an interesting time. But and still more people to this day. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with like Juice World in the studio. He came through.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. Juice. Ski Masks, Trippie Red. They were all those cats, like all the mob figures. Just Bay Area hip hop. We've had it covered. And recently I moved to LA, and now I'm here, just following my passion, taking all my time, investing it in me and creating my music that I've been trying to do for all these years. And I spent all this time like learning while working on everyone else's stuff. But now I'm just like, want to actually give it a good shot and put myself in the forefront rather than just always supporting artists, which I have been and which I love to do.
Yeah, man, it's like a paid internship you've been on for
for a long time.
That's badass, though. I mean, be in the scene, gaining the skills you need to do what you want to do eventually, and building the relationships that that will last, and that kind of credit list always goes a long way in helping you get foots indoors. So, man, it seems like you had a really good path to get to where you are now.
Dude, I have so many questions for you already.
All right,
bring them on, Rip.
I'm gonna start with just a sentiment. Literally, all of the best drummers that I have ever met have told me they started in jazz band.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like anything. If you learn the fundamentals of it, if you learn proper technique, like that's gonna propel you to do whatever you want to do down the road. And I mean, like look at opera singers. There's just badass singers that you might not know that they have classical opera training, but they could hit that stuff, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that. But it's like a whole other level. So, jazz band just gives you a really good feel too. And being the drummer, you never stop playing pretty much, and you're always accenting things and figuring out how the rhythmic qualities and the melodic qualities intersect. And it's just that conversation that's happening while you're playing.
Yeah. And the drummer is the one person in the band. Like anyone else can miss a note and it'll be like, nothing
jazzy.
Really.
Do it twice and it's jazz.
Yeah.
If the drummer fucks up, the whole band falls apart. So I've always felt like the drummer is like the most underappreciated, most important part of the band. Like I had a friend that I worked with that was telling me about like the period of his band when he was really trying to make it, and he was like playing at like the Grand Ole Opry and stuff, and he had a shitty drummer. And just like telling me the stories of just like getting through certain sections of songs and just like not even focusing on like what he was playing, but just like, oh, please don't fuck this up, drummer, please don't fuck this up. Like, so funny.
You could be the dopest band out there, but if you have a shitty drummer, it doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're in a great band and you have a shitty drummer, fire him. Go get a good drummer.
Or put him on bass.
Yeah. No.
Oh no.
I got love for my bass players.
You're gonna get some hate from the bass players.
Yeah. Watch out, man. My dad was a bass player, man.
Enough of that already, man.
They're probably the most underappreciated.
Yeah, them too.
But,
did you just throw a Davey 504 slap?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Love it.
I will slap you. You must thank you.
Slap like on this video right now.
Yeah, I fucking love Davey. Yeah.
Okay. Side note question part 2. Did you ever meet Andre Nickatina?
Yeah, dude. Actually,
No way.
Yeah, I did a couple shows with him over the years.
Shut the fuck up. What was he like?
Nickatina's a very like recluse type person, and he doesn't let people into. The first show I ever played with him was at Tunes in San Jose back in probably 2007, a long time ago, probably 6, 5, somewhere around there. Yeah, and it was just like that middle of the hyphy era, and we were opening up for him. We were filming during his show, and he snatched the video camera out of my lead singer's hand and then kept it while he was performing. And we had to go back to the security guard, or not to the security guard, but to his like security dude and be like, yo, he stole our camera. And they're like, you're not supposed to be filming, but we got it back. But it was just, that was like my first experience with him. And then I play in Kung Fu Vampire, which is, no, I didn't mention that yet, but I'm a drummer and producer with this rapper Kung Fu Vampire. And we toured with Brother Lynch Hung and Nickatina and done stuff in that world, the juggalo world too.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop juggalos.
I grew up, I literally was on like a pure Nickatina diet for like a good portion of my high school music.
That's not a healthy diet.
Oh, it's not, but it also is, because if you download, if you went to LimeWire in high school and downloaded the Andre Nickatina discography, that thing goes a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Like there's some breaks, beats. There's some like straight up West Coast. There's a lot of stuff in there. But I quite liked him a lot. But I always felt like he would be such an interesting character. Like I always wondered what he would be like in real life.
I've never had like hey, what's going on, Nickatina? Like,
yeah, right.
He's just there, and it's like it's kind of weird, but
yeah.
I mean, he's probably a great dude, but I just haven't had that connection with him. So
yeah. Okay. So side notes out of the way.
Okay.
As a producer and a drummer, one of the things that I always felt like would be super fun, but never pulled the trigger on, would be to buy like a MIDI drum kit. Have you ever delved into that or had any experience?
When I was rocking with the Hard Knocks, I was 100% electronic drum kit. And so that was, 2005 or so. And we were, but I was touring around with them, and we had 4 18s and 2 15 stacks that I had to carry around, load, unload. And I had my electronic kit in a bag, but it was like full 100% electronic kit, amp rack, and sub mixing for a 6-piece band and doing that shit. It bangs, and we would do like hot import nights and stuff like that back in the day. And it's fun, and you get some really cool sounds. The technology's gone even way farther. I kind of now prefer to do this hybrid thing where you can kind of see it.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, that's my whole drum kit. So you got a kick drum on the bottom, and you have the beater going up, and then you have a floor tom, a snare drum, hi-hat, electronic crash, and then whole pads of electronic drums, and then a kick pedal that's an electronic. So I have this little setup that I could be doing acoustic, because I don't really like layering acoustic and electric stuff together, because sometimes the notes don't fit, and like one will have a different fundamental, and then it's just like kind of like this weird, gives you this angst when you hit the drum. So I'd rather not that, and I'd rather just be like, oh, I'm here now, I'm going to be hitting an electronic thing. But there's also some really cool stuff where they take mic signals and look at the position of your drumstick on the head with it's like a light that shines off the drum head, and then it senses where you're at in the drum, and you can play different melodic patterns and have it mapped to anywhere MIDI in the world that you want. I've tried to get into it, but it's really freaking confusing and a lot of
crazy. So like, is it, so basically what you're saying is like, you could hit like the edge of it and you'd get like a rim shot, and you hit like the center and you get like the crack, or
yeah, it splits the drum into 13 zones, I believe. So you have like the center, then like if you did a rim shot, if you did like a really close rim shot, if you were just hitting the side of the drum, if you were hitting so it splits it up, and you could have it crossfade in between samples that are in different places. So that's a really cool thing that I want to dive into more. But I'm really trying to figure out how to be able to DJ and then also drum at the same time, and then or play acoustic drums and figure out how to mix that live and get a really just dope show that doesn't feel like up and down energy levels, being able to keep that consistent throughout. And that's like the real challenge, I think.
On that note, I saw KJ Saka play at Monkey Loft in Seattle. Like,
shouts to Monkey Loft.
Yeah, right.
I played in Monkey Loft. No. I'm thinking Portland. Anyway, KJ.
Yeah. So it was this like super small room, and he had his full like acoustic drum set, but he also had Ableton open, like running the songs, and he had like a monitor, and he was just fucking cracking them things, and it all worked somehow. It seems like such a like meeting of worlds to have like electronic, like really dubstep, or like drum and bass, which is like very heavy on the electronic, and then he's just smashing these acoustic drums in a small room, and it all sounded good and it all worked, and there was no like oh, this is like a weird transitional period. You might link him up on the dojo site for a one-on-one.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I'd
set up for that if you're trying to.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I was curious, Chris. I just want to bring it back a bit and ask. So you have this like rich background with different instruments and performing with bands and stuff. But when did you sort of take that step into producing, and what sort of sparked you going down that route, and then now combining the drumming experience with production?
My dad wanted me to have a backup plan for drumming. So I was like, I'm going to be a rock star and it's going to be all good. So I was like, I guess my backup plan, I'll be a sound engineer. And at the time, all these trade schools were popping up, and it wasn't quite like the cool thing to do yet. And I don't think that there was some really quality teachers that I had. So I just made that decision, like, this is my backup plan. I always knew I wanted to produce albums and I wanted to mix, and I was really fascinated with just like making mixtapes and how I was learning at a very young age what compression was doing, even though I didn't know the terminology. I mean, I was like, I want to make it louder, so I'm gonna just record it hella loud here and then put it back over here and turn this up, and then eventually just, but it would get louder. So yeah, it was just really finding that, and it was a means to an end to be able to produce for my own band and be able to put out our own albums. The first album I ever did or recorded on, I wasn't engineering, and just that experience in the studio kind of really hooked me. I was 15 years old, and my band did a recording at the time, and I mean, we were behind consoles with pencils strapped on faders and pushing them all up, and all 5 of us are around during the mix down, and we all had different jobs to do. And so that's how I learned how to make albums. And I mean, I've spliced tape and done all that stuff. So yeah, I was just really fortunate too to find a space that I could grow into a recording studio. It used to be an old studio. My band started rehearsing there. I just slowly took over all the rooms, and the more I don't know, people just liked what I did. So that it was kind of just awesome affirmations that I'm doing the right thing. And eventually I was able to support myself 100% off music. And that started maybe 10 years ago. And since then I haven't looked back. And I mean, it is entirely possible. You just got to find like the right niche.
So, on that note, I figure that's probably what like prompted the whole like building the studio and
I mean, I wanted to just build the whole thing out just for myself and my band, but then I just realized I was able to do this and put out albums, and people wanted to pay me to create art for them, and that was a pretty cool feeling. So I initially only had 2 rooms. I had a live room and then like a little vocal booth. So I would just move the computer back and forth if I needed to be in the live room and just do that type of thing. But there was other rooms that were just being used as storage. The studio had all their stuff in there, but it was just inactive. It was an old analog spot. So yeah, I just like one room at a time. And so my rent slowly went up. I wasn't like, I'm going to open a recording studio and I'm going to buy all this shit right now. Like, it took me 15 years to get to a point where I got an HDX system with nice monitors and a C24 and 7 rooms. And I just love the studio's my baby. And now it's 16 years old and it's like off driving its car. And I'm just like, go on, your bad self and get into the world. So, yeah.
So the studio's still operating?
The studio is operating. Yeah.
That's what's up.
I got 5 talented engineers in there that are just kicking ass. And I mean, it's been interesting through COVID. We're just doing like one-on-one sessions, and depending on the the type of situation too. Just people were just in the other room the entire time, and there's no contact. But I mean, we can still offer a facility and clean it all and do all that stuff in this time. I mean, thankfully, people got time on their hands to come record.
Yeah, I was gonna ask actually, because I was looking through your catalog, and you have like quite an impressive list of like tours and stuff you've been on in just the last couple of years. So how you managed to run all that and still keep the tours going is pretty impressive. I was curious, since you've been all around the world, what if I ask you of like the memorable tour? Is there one that instantly comes to mind?
I mean, as with everything in life, there's different reasons for why I love things for what they are. Touring around South Africa was quite the experience. I mean, I flew from city to city to city and was extremely sick the entire time, so that wasn't fun. But I mean, showing up and doing Soweto Jam, the first annual Soweto Jam. If you don't know where that is, that's in South Africa. It's right outside Joburg. And Soweto is where the ghetto was during apartheid. So if you were black, you lived in Soweto, and you had to commute into the city, but you couldn't live in the city if you were black back then. I got to do the first Soweto Jam. I show up, there's like a pig head that's roasting. People are just like dipping chips in the brain. And I mean, that's not like, that was just one thing. Africa's just phenomenal in general. So yeah, I would say that trip, or I think maybe the Mighty Death Pop tour with Insane Clown Posse was pretty lit. And like as far as just like, damn, those shows were lit. Yeah.
Yeah, that when I saw that one, I was like, all right, I definitely got to ask him about that one, because I've always heard like such insane things about their shows and their fan base. Like, yeah. What was that like?
Oh man, we did 43 city tour with them, and I mean, they went through 660 gallons of Faygo a night, where they're just spraying soda on the crowd. People were just launching them off the stage, dumping buckets. The clowns are coming out. That made me fall in love with juggalos and like understand them a lot more. And like before all that time, it's kind of like, what? I don't understand these people. They're just kind of weird. But just going on tour and seeing it every single night, and seeing how they get down and how much appreciation, how loyal of fans they are, it's just like, it's something else. It's a spectacle, man. I don't know any other live show that competes with that. Maybe like Rob Zombie or...
how did that opportunity come about?
So I linked up with Kung Fu Vampire about a decade ago. He hit me up and he was looking for a drummer to do the Dead for Life tour. And I auditioned, and he was like, come on out on tour. And so back then it was vocals, bass, piano, and drums. And even before that, it used to be like a 12-piece band. But yeah, we went out on the road, and then slowly over the years, we've done, 15, 16 tours together. The band's gotten smaller and smaller, and right now it's just me and Kung Fu Vampire. The bass player's been doing some other stuff and kind of occupied in his life. I don't know if he'll ever come back, hopefully. But yeah, me and Kung Fu Vampire have been even building more, and I'm producing a whole album with them that is a Kung Fu Vampire album, and then I also have some stuff that's going to be coming out that's Action Paxton featuring Kung Fu Vampire, which is more in like the electronic crazy world that we like to live in.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I know, like on your Action Paxton Spotify, there's 2 right now in your popular tracks with Kung Fu Vampire, and both slap.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, man, really big fan of that stuff. And I remember you showing me, like, I think it was like the first session you ever had with me in the dojo. You were showing me some Kung Fu Vampire stuff. I was like, damn, like this music is fucking good. Like, yeah, sure, I know it's a work in progress. I got some suggestions, but I remember just being like, damn, I'm like just legit impressed by this right now.
I remember you asking me, I don't know if it was for that particular song, but you were like, where'd you get those vocals? Is that like from some sample pack or what the fuck? Did you steal those? I'm like, no, man, that's the homie.
You steal them,
Hey,
shine a light in your eyes, pound on the table.
Well, it was because I was submitting to a cipher, and you're like, we said no samples, bro.
That's what's up, man. Oh, good times, man. Yeah, man. Really digging that, man. Did you say how you met Kung Fu?
So I used to be in a group called Rap as a Joke. I was drumming and producing for them. I really wanted to get more shows with those guys, so I was going around to venues. At the time, Kung Fu Vampire was a booking agent in like the South Bay, San Jose area. So I went to a venue, hit him up. I was like, yo, what up, Kung Fu? Hey, I'm in this band. We want to do shows. Gave him my contact, got his. A couple months later, I get a call from him, and it says Kung Fu Vampire. I'm like, hey, what's up, Kung Fu Vampire? He's like, how did you know this is me? And I'm like, because we met a while ago. So he wanted me to come down and audition for him. And it was just from a recommendation from another drummer that I know from the Bay Area. And that's kind of how it all came together. I went down his basement and rocking along to his songs. Dead girls don't say no. That was the hit back then. We've evolved quite some since then.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's still a classic.
Yeah. So you seem like the type of guy that's worked on like every project under the sun and like every type of project, and all of those things stem from like relationships with people, right? I've picked that up, that it's like a one-on-one, like you met someone, or you gave someone your contact, your friends hooked you up or whatever. But I know a lot of people listening to this probably are looking for people to work with and don't really know like either like the etiquette or like the do's and don'ts, or even how to like link up with people. So do you have some just general tips on like, how to link up with people, and when you do, like how to carry it into more of a long-term relationship that works?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's different for every person that's watching this, because I mean, we all have different ways we like to approach things. There are different comfort levels on putting ourselves out there. And I mean, to me, number one, I don't have business cards. A lot of people are like, hey, you got a card? I'm like, well, no, because if we connect this much and I really want to move forward in building something with you, give me your phone number, give me your Instagram. Let's put this in my phone right now. I don't need to have a piece of paper to hand you. I mean, and the type of people that are just passing out stuff like that, that's all the time. I'm like, I don't need this. This isn't like a genuine connection. So I would say just whatever you do, pick and choose. Be choosy on who you approach. And if you really want to work with someone, you probably will be able to. I mean, before I was in Kung Fu Vampire, before I was in, another group I haven't even mentioned, Jazz Mafia, these were two groups that I saw from afar. And I knew that they were doing really exciting things, and I wanted to be in these groups. I wanted to be a sound engineer when I was 15 years old. I got quoted by the newspaper saying, I want to graduate high school and then open a recording studio. So like there hasn't been a single thing in my life yet that I haven't, if I've said I want to do it, I'm going to do it. I mean, I'm not in Metallica. Damn it. Damn it. But yeah, I mean, as far as connecting with people, I think you should also, I mean, if you're looking to like even cold call someone, or if you try to find someone that you want to build a connection with, learn about them first. Just don't like put yourself upon them. Make sure that you're going at it of what you can, what can you add to the situation, rather than, oh, I need you for this. So I think that if you remember that, you'll probably be able to have more quality connections.
Yeah, I absolutely love the no business cards thing. It's, for me, business cards are so impersonal. Like you said, it's just like pissing in the wind. Like you don't actually, like, you might pee on yourself. You don't know. Like
you probably will.
You're not going to get anything real out of that. But like you said, if you put your number in their phone and vice versa, like, you're going to have your contact. You're not going to lose the business card. That's hugely important, because I can't tell you how many times someone's handed me a business card and I was like, oh yeah, I'll pull this out 6 months from now when I need this. And
you're like, who the fuck is this person?
What the fuck is that card? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Especially because you go to an event where people are passing out business cards and everybody hands you their business card.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, I met 50 people. I remember 3 people, and I have 47 random business cards that are collecting dust.
Yep.
I rubber band them together and huck them somewhere.
Yeah, this sounds like me after every single NAMM.
Oh, exactly, dude.
Like, oh, so many trees died in vain.
Yeah, man. I remember I was at ASCAP Expo one year at a producer battle that iStandard was putting on. And this dude, I saw him coming because I was looking in the right direction in the conversation I was in the middle of. And he was literally just passing out a business card to everybody sitting along like the back booth of the club. And I just saw him come in, like, all right, 3, 2, 1, and he tried to hand it to me, and I didn't take it. Instead, I like reached out my hand to like shake his hand, and I was like, "Yo, who are you, man?" But I was trying to like, let's skip the formalities, like really introduce yourself. I'm being friendly, and instead he got mad, thinking I was like, "Who the fuck are you, man?" He's like, "Come on, man," and he just like.
It's like trying to shove a quarter into his.
I was like, nah, man, but like, who are you? He's like, huh? And he like literally takes a stack of business cards, like slams them on the table, and walks down the line like handing them out to everybody. And my whole group that were having a conversation are just like stunned. They're like, what just happened?
That's how you network.
And I was like, so are any of you guys gonna hit this guy up? No. I'm like, that's how not to network.
Y'all ever heard that song by Flume on the Hi, This Is Flume mixtape? That's like how relationships are built or something like that. Like the end of it, like it's JPEG Mafia, and he's just like shitting on the mic and like says, don't call me unless I gave you my number. And then like he like pauses, and then you can hear everyone in the studio just bust out in laughter, and then he's like, that's how relationships are built. And then he like starts dying again. But it's actually true.
Yeah.
Like you need, like, you can't just blast people like across the board and hope that you're going to make an actual relationship. And like a real takeaway from what you said for me is it sounds like it has to be a good fit in the first place, and you have to like genuinely feel like yeah, I think like we'd be friends, so like I need to make that connect, not like what can this person add to my career or my project. You can't look at it as a business transaction. Like you have to make a real relationship. And like the analogy as well for like working on music or anything else, like you can't just skip steps of friendship. Like you have to be if you want to do a friend thing with someone, you can't just like cold hit them up and be like, yo, you want to go to the movies? Like that shit, like that doesn't work. That's not something that people do. Like you can't just like spam someone your link, like, yeah, let's work together. Like that doesn't work. Like you have to.
I actually yesterday I had someone hit me up and they were calling my recording studio and they was like, yeah, I want to book like an hour of studio time. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, maybe might be able to do that, minimum 2 hours, but so what's up? And then he proceeds to start playing acoustic guitar to me over the phone and singing. No. I'm like, bro, and so there's different relationships too, though. I mean, there's one thing if you're building with friends and you're creating something together. There's another thing if you are running a commercial recording studio, or if you're a sound engineer that is independent contractor. You don't really have like you're not going to be having dinner together with this person. You're not going to be going out and hiking with them or whatever you do. So, I mean, you have to define these things too, because sometimes there's a very fine line between a client and a friend. And sometimes clients think they're your friend, and then you call them a client, and then they're like, "What? I thought we were friends." And then sometimes, and then you have friends, and you call them a client, and they're like, "What?" So, we were talking about persistence, though, and sometimes, you don't want to push yourself all the way onto people, but the two engineers that I have currently in my studio that are like the two most up and coming dudes. One of them's been there for 8 months. The other one's been there for like 3.5 years. They both like repeatedly hit me up. I mean, not like annoyingly every day, but I was like, "Hey, check back. You might be able to intern with me here down the road." They kept hitting me up, and they emailed me, and they put my name in the thing, right? And they said, "Oh, here's my stuff, and here's a resume." Because I'll have people call me like, "Oh, I want to intern at your studio." I'm like, "Cool, send me a resume, send me a reel of some stuff." If you can't even send me an email and send me those two things, like, I don't want you at the studio.
No. Let me call you and play you Wonderwall over the phone.
Yeah, dude.
I fucking guarantee you'll have me in there, bro.
And back to that guy. It's like, "So what are we gonna do, dude?" I'm like, "If you want to book some studio time, I can happily facilitate that." But I mean, like, I'm not gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna produce your next album, man," just from this you playing some shit over the phone that sounds like, it's god awful. So, sorry, dude, if you're watching this, but don't do that.
No, you
Hope
need
he
that
learned the lesson.
Listening.
Yeah.
You need that lesson. It's important. Oh, man. So
it takes a little bit of ego, though, to drive yourself as a musician. Just don't go about it that way.
Well, you're confident in your stuff, but you can't be like, look at me.
Yeah.
Like,
every musician is going to have an ego of some sort. If you don't have an ego at all, then there's most likely not going to be a lot of like push behind you as far as so there needs to be a little bit, but it also needs to be just kept in check. Like you are a human, and you still have to abide by human things and treat other people like humans, no matter how big you are.
It's like the biggest, like, you do need an ego, but like, word of advice for literally anyone, like, your ego is limited to knowing that what you make is good, and then never pushing it to like. If you're a friend with someone and they're like, "Oh, you're a music producer," like, "Show me some stuff you've made," and you're like, "Cool, yeah, here's my stuff," and they're like, "Wow, this is really good." That works out 1,000,000 times better than you going, "Oh, I'm really good, trust me." And then listen to my shit. Like, I'm gonna show you I'm good. Like, even like at that point, even if it is good, that person's gonna be like, "You're a dick, dude." Like, I don't fucking care.
At that point, I'm like, do I really want to waste 2.5 minutes of my life right now listening to your shit?
Yeah, exactly. Like, make the relationship, and then when that person, like a friend would actually do. If you are actually friends with that person, they'll be like, "Cool, man, let me hear your music." And that is when you can actually pull out the tunes and show them. Don't do the one-way street thing. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. That happened to me the other night. I was having dinner with a couple friends from out of town, and right at the beginning of dinner, my homegirl's like, "I want to hear some new stuff that you've been working on." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And just like we were in conversation, so I wasn't gonna be like, "Yeah, check out my shit." And then like she had to ask me 3 times, and then eventually I was like, "Okay, let's do this now." Now that now we're just sipping a little wine and chilling out, listen to it. And she was like, "What the fuck? This is amazing. I love it." And so, you set yourself up way more than, "I need you to do this right now. And if you don't listen to my shit right now, fuck you."
Exactly.
And tomorrow I'm tagging you and 99 other people on Facebook in a post about it.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. How not to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, so I wanted to switch the topic here a bit. I love asking people this question. Generally, like regardless of wherever you at level wise, I feel like there's sort of phases you go through producing, or there's sort of like one big thing you learn every few months that you like. Yeah, I'm loving your reaction. But yeah, you know where I'm going with this. What's like the recent sort of thing you've learned that you've been really inspired by, or that sort of propelled your production forward recently?
I don't know if you're ready for these two words. Seth Drake.
Yes. Hey. Links in the description. Humans.
Dude. I think today the last day like to sign up? Because I got to renew my shit. I've just been slacking. And thank you, Seth, for everything you've taught me. Because, yeah, you just picked some knowledge that changed my game. I mean, I started this, 15 years after starting my mixing career. And I was just like, what the fuck am I been doing all this time? Like, just changed the game. I mean, I could go into specifically the things that open my eyes. Is that what you're curious about? Like, or are we talking about like the evolution of and the process and the plateaus and the growth?
I mean, yeah, we've all been pushing Seth Drake heavy, but if you want to go into maybe like one or two things that you picked up from the course where you're just like, God damn, how did I not do this earlier? How has nobody mentioned this?
I mean, well, I feel like he's coined it, the ghost zone. And acknowledging what's going on there and realizing that when you're looking at meters, you're not seeing left and right. Like for my main meter, I use span. When you're looking at that, you are looking at a sum signal of the stereo band, and that's what's going on. Or then you can use like the different devices that they put together, or mono, or just to listen to sides in mono, and like really understanding where you're getting frequency buildup and when that's going to be problematic in a mix. And then knowing how to correct things, though, like this, just, yeah, he's shattered my brain multiple times, and really trusting your ear, and then not using the VU meters in the plugin itself, but always monitoring like what's coming out all the way down at the end of the stream. So, yeah, then you can really see, like, you would think that you'd be doing too many cuts or some wild stuff, but if you look, it's like, this is where I want it to be, and when it's balanced, when it's moving through the scale, I want all these notes to be the same volume. But yeah, acknowledging the ghost zone, acknowledging learning how to frame things, learning how to tie dots together. I mean, these are all the things that he talked about in the approach, and he's just truly revolutionized the way that I go. I mean, I even got my bottle of water right here. I'm just like, I was going to be Seth Drake for Halloween.
Buddy, I didn't that water bottle.
I didn't pull it off, but it would have been kind of fun. But another reason, one of my other level ups is because I moved to LA in September. I moved into a house with two other musicians and then a music manager. But my roommate, he goes by Echo Zoo, and he's just he's a monster. If you haven't checked him out, check out his stuff. He just dropped a track with Craddy, the other day, and we have a few of the songs that we did that are coming out with remixes. We got Pink Panda remixing some stuff. I think Opio's remixing a track. Ill Gates is remixing one of the tracks. So those are all like on Motherwolf, a label that I've been releasing stuff on.
Speaking of Ill Gates, he just did that. He just did that By a Thread with Ill Gates.
Oh yeah, By a Thread is fucking fire too.
That is my jam.
I was in the studio when they were recording that, and I did the, and that's it's in the build up. But just leveling up though. So I moved into a house with just badass musicians, and we constantly are just going back and forth, sharing ideas, bouncing stuff off each other, having witty banter in the morning, drinking coffee, being like, what are you going to do? But we all are here every day. So yeah, it's Echo Zoo. And then my other homie, he's a singer songwriter, but more in like the electric alternative rock world. And he goes by Big X. And then his manager, Matt, is another one of my roommates. But we have, you can't forget Cora and Claude, the two dogs too, because they're like the mascots, and they keep everyone sane. But
shout out.
Yeah, shout out Cora and Claude. but moving in with them and having that inspiration on a daily basis. So surrounding yourself with people that will inspire you, or, I mean, hopefully you can figure out some way to get around somebody. But yeah, having that connection really, really has leveled me up. And I've just been picking Echo Zoom's brain all the time. Just like, yo, bro, what do you think of this? And slamming stuff into groups, and just really carving out space for the bass, making sure that you're not fucking with the phase, making sure that you're using linear phase or non-linear phase when you want to use that stuff. Or all these things have just accumulated, and I feel I've leveled up big time in the past 3 months. That said, don't forget to enjoy the plateau though once you level up, and then when you're cruising, enjoy it too. You don't always have to be like growing and having earth-shattering moments to be able to continue to make music. So
that's a great piece of advice, man.
Yeah, for real.
I definitely do just want to touch on the fact that you and Echo Zoo have some amazing collabs. Like, I went in preparation for the episode today at work, I was bumping your Spotify and really reminded how dope these tracks are. Like You Push, I Pull, super slapper. Pages, really digging it. And man, Waking Up with Karma, congratulations on that one, breaking 200,000 plays.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was our first one out the gate too, and I was really proud how that came together. I mean, it's a super bouncy house track. I'd say it's more my vibe than Echo Zoo's, but he crushed it in Murado, coming up with everything, the original concept. So yeah, it's been a great team, and I'm looking forward to what 2021 brings Motherwolf, because yeah, we got some great players on the team, and everybody on the label is super respectful to artists, and it's all artist centric, and making sure that people retain the rights to things, and making sure that artists are educated in the moves that they're making, and basically providing an infrastructure for independent artists to really be able to come up.
That's what's up, yo. So that seems like a good segue into the label. What's up? Talk about it.
So Motherwolf,
how'd it come about?
So there's a recording studio a friend of mine owns in San Francisco, and he wanted me to manage it. So I started kind of coming in there, rewired everything, and eventually he's like, hey, I want to start putting out some music. So we worked on a collab together and cooked up some stuff. And the two that made it through all of that process was You Push, I Pull and Waking Up with Karma. So he just wanted to like do an experiment and be like, hey, what's it like making music? Because he hadn't released any music for years. We put those together and it was kind of vibing. So he's like, hey, well, I own a recording studio. Let's build this out. Let's get a label going. And one of my really good friends, her name's Colleen Courtney. She's a badass. She's now in charge of all of Motherwolf. So it basically started from a little tiny recording studio, and then we started just trying to cook up tracks. And then she's just a super player, knows how to network things, and is shopping the stuff around. We got some good distro, and so we're just a scrappy young label. I'm pretty sure, I'm the first artist that was on it, I guess. And since then, it's been expanding out, though. We got Echo Zoo on it. Kill Will's doing some stuff. Craddy's doing some stuff. This girl, Kelsey Watts, she was just on The Voice, and she was singing.
Wow.
Some other really exciting stuff. I have a new track that is coming out in the end of January 29th, with Dakini Star. And I'm pretty sure that you've heard that one, but I had Seth master that. That's all good to go. We're finishing that up. And then I have like a new kind of like disco funk STS9 vibe mix, but I want to have a hip hop artist on it. I'm working on that for a February release. But yeah, the label's exciting. What do you have any like in particular questions about the label?
I mean, nah, man, that's great info. Like that's, man, it's really cool. You sounds like you guys got a great, community of artists working there, and a really good community in general between the artists and the business, which is widely known has always been one of the biggest issues in the music business. Is that a lot of artists aren't educated about their rights and the business side of things, and get taken advantage of. So to see Motherwolf and some other things coming along that are really pushing the fact that this is artist centric, this is about educating, making sure everybody's empowered, and making sure that this is a win-win. That's just beautiful to hear.
Yeah, man. I mean, the days of screwing over artists is, long from gone, but hopefully things can get simplified from the registration process to, whether you're copywriting stuff or making sure that it's on the PROs and making sure that distro is not taking all your money, and like the simpler that we can make these things and have a more streamlined way, especially like payouts too, and being able to have multiple band members. Like DistroKid now does splits, and before distro companies weren't doing splits at all. And that's just, it's like, well, I don't want to wait for this guy to pay me. Why can't you just pay me since you're collecting everything? Makes way more sense. So I'm glad that stuff like that's happening, and we just need to simplify it more and more and more. Hopefully, but the music industry is always changing, and the big record players are still going to figure out a way to like try to squeeze the small guy. So yeah, it's about beating that algorithm, which can be very tricky, and as we know, it changes daily.
Indeed, it does. What's up, Evan?
So with the label, a lot of people that are listening to this, I'm sure, are trying to decide whether or not they should shop their music to label, whether they just get a DistroKid account and put it out themselves. Do you want to speak a little bit?
Or a Gvngaroo music distribution.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Throwing that out there.
I actually, when you were talking about your label, it was reminding me a lot about the ethos of Gvngaroo, and like the artist forward, making sure that they're, informed on stuff. But yeah, do you just want to like speak a little bit about like the value that you see in a label today? Like why someone should look at a label rather than just distribute it themselves, or kind of some of the things in particular that you guys are doing to have that value add for your artists?
So I think that, if you feel like you're ready to be shopping your music around to labels, then you should definitely do it. But I wouldn't take any deal that's not going to really be beneficial for you. It's like, what can they do for you? How much money are they going to invest in you, or at least for advertising? Like, where are the dollars going to go? If they're just going to take a percentage and have you out there sitting in the cold, then what's the point? So the things for me that the benefits that I've gotten out of working with a company like Motherwolf is we have a team that is there for pre and post release and making sure that we have like all these things set up. We're doing promo pictures, and we have the stuff on a schedule that's coming out, and we all like work on it together and make sure that it's spread at the same time. And then post-release content, like coming up with stuff for TikTok and Instagram Reels and doing that type of thing. Like there's a creative team that's helping drive that too, alongside with artists. So it's great to just have the resources of like, oh, we need an image of this, and then they can have an in-house artist person do it for them. And then hopefully, as the label grows, it will become more of a brand name that you could be associated with. Motherwolf is young, but I would much rather be a part of something from the ground up and building it, rather than just joining right from the gate. And it'd be great to get something on a giant label, but if that doesn't happen, then I'm gonna just put out my stuff regardless, because I want to put out my music, and I'll shop my stuff to Motherwolf. Sometimes they don't take my songs, and I'm going to still put it out. It doesn't mean that it's a bad song. And I'm learning too what I need to do to make sure I'm doing all the hitting the check marks along the way to have a successful release. So that is another benefit of it. But yeah, I mean, if you already have a quality product and if you already have somewhat of a name and someone can just help push you up and that's what it needs, great, go for a label. But if that doesn't arise, you know you can do it. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been really important to think about for myself, at least, is that if you are going to shop to labels, that means you have to have the song done with enough time before when you want to release it to shop to labels and then get no response. You know, you have to, like, if you want to have a release schedule for yourself and stay consistent, which is like all too important in today's day and age, like, you have to have that music done with a runway to be able to like shop it to people and then still have the time to, if it doesn't land anywhere, release it yourself and still hit your schedule. You know, at least when I was, 3-4 years into it, like I would finish a song and just put it on SoundCloud that day. You know, it's not, if you're trying to work with labels and shop it around and still have like a really tidy release schedule, like you gotta be ahead of it. So definitely something to think about for people.
Yep, definitely. I ran into that trap last year, and I was hoping to get a song released on a label, and I didn't hear back, and I still haven't released the song because other things have kind of come up. And now I'm just like, now I'm listening back to it, I'm like, oh, that song sucks now, and I got to fix it. But I'm going to release it because this was a really dope MC. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Actually, the track did get put on the Cybertronica mix thing, yeah. So it showed up on there, yeah. But so I mean, who knows? Maybe it will come out on the dojo. That'd be dope. But
yeah. So speaking of stuff that you're working on, what can we expect from you in the future, in the near future, long future? What are you working on that you're excited about?
Oh, I got a slew of things. I got a slew. So back in the day, I used to be in a group called Whogas. It stands for Who Gives a Shit. It was a 3-piece kind of ska, funk, reggae rock band from the Bay Area. And we broke up, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. And it was like, I'm over playing all these bar shows. I'm going to go out on tour and be the badass rock star that I am. Sorry, guys, I got to go. But I love these guys, and they're super, super talented. We recorded a whole album right before I kind of broke the band up, but we've still stayed friends. So now I'm remixing and putting that stuff out, which I'm really stoked about because it's like uplifting, positive content that will just put a smile on your face. The song's called Pick Me Up, but that's coming out this Friday, the 15th. Good. And the band's called What's that?
Sweet. Yeah, no. Awesome. Yeah, we're going to leave a link in the description.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to have tons of links. And then so after that, I have on the 29th, I have a project coming out with Dakini Star. This is the first of many between me and her. And so that track's more on like the grimy kind of dubstep, glitchy stuff. I don't know. It's heavy and kinky. What else do I got? And then I have, like I was telling you, I got like this disco funk hip hop track that I'm going to be putting out in the end of February. I have a 2 more songs in line with Kung Fu Vampire that I'm getting ready to push out. I have a song with Sun Rue that I'm going to be putting out. I have a bunch of stuff I've been working on with Adam Thies from Jazz Mafia, and they're like kind of classical, like symphonic EDM, if you will, mixed with some trap jazz. And what else do I got going on?
Symphonic EDM trap jazz fusion. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Featuring that old hat.
Yeah. That 2023 shit. Yeah, I mean, and I got a track I'm working on with Big X too, my roommate. So yeah, those are like all the things in the works right now that are kind of flying around. But thankfully, I've moved my life more into the production thing, and like I was going into moving down here, that was my goal. And and I'm living it, and it's just a good feeling when you can actually like see the progress and you have stuff coming out. So yeah, I'm stoked about that.
Exciting, man.
And all the remixes that are going to be coming out of songs that Echo and I have done. So I mean that's going to be like a little bonus. It's like, oh shit, then we made that, but someone dope remixed it. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. So that's on the horizon.
So you mentioned, if you're going to work with a label, hopefully one of the best parts is they're going to handle a lot of the rollout of the track and have a team of, creatives to put together all these extra pieces that you want to have in place for the rollout. But, like you said, not every track's going to get picked by a label, and we all need to be releasing consistently anyways. So for our listeners who are ready to release and aren't going to be putting their stuff out on a label, can you give them the rundown of some of your best practices that you've learned so far on what makes an independent rollout release to streaming really work well? And of course, any things you tried that didn't work out that folks can avoid.
Okay, number 1. Your album artwork. Make sure that your album artwork is simple and you don't have artist names that don't belong on it, or like features, or it can be really tricky. So when you upload a song and you upload your artwork and you put the people's names in there, if there's any discrepancy, even if I put Luke Rain on it, but then I put Trap Jesus, they're like, well, how does this work? And so you'll get your stuff kicked back. So then that's going to make it to where your release might get delayed, or you just won't have enough time and you won't be able to pitch it to playlists. So that's number 1. Make sure that that's consistent. Make sure that you have the artist names, their Spotify URLs, that type of thing. Number 2, if you have lyrics in your song, make sure that you have all those lyrics printed out or typed up. Make sure that they're formatted correctly, because that will be another thing that kicks back, and that could be a pain in the ass. I'd say those are kind of like 2 of the things that I've recently ran into that are could save you a little bit of time. As far as
that'll make sure you don't get it kicked back and then have to redo all that stuff while your intended release date has come and gone.
Yeah, because I mean, if you set a release date, which you should do a month in advance, I mean, you can get away with the shorter one sometimes, but give yourself a month. But if it got kicked back, then it might take 2 days before they look at it, and then they send it back to you, and then you might not see that message, and then now you're 4 days in, and then you got to fix it, and then you got to resubmit it, and then they go wait 2 days, and then now you're not pitching it to a Spotify playlist or whatever. And
now you're not on release radar.
Yeah, exactly. So why? And if you are going to release a song, release it on a Friday so you can get put on release radar. If you release it on different days, I'm pretty sure it doesn't really work as well as releasing stuff on Friday. That's at least what a buddy of mine that works at 1RPM told me. So
yeah, and people just expect to hear new music on Fridays. Like, I listen to Spotify more on Friday than any other day, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so release radar, if you release a song on a Friday, it gives you 4 chances for release radar to pick it up in that 30-day window. So you could release on a Thursday or a Wednesday technically and still get the same amount, but that's definitely one of those other things that I think contributes to the Friday release, is it gives you the most chances to hit that playlist or for it to push to as many people as possible in that window.
And just something I became aware of recently, the way you get eligible for that is by going through your Spotify for Artists account and going through their whole, pitch to playlists. And, on the front end, it looks like you're just pitching to editorial playlists, and you might think, they probably won't pick me up anyways. But at the end of that, they let you know, okay, cool, now you're also eligible for release radar. And so that's why it's so important to go through that process. It doesn't take a lot. You put in, what your genres and your, what instruments it features and what, if it's, associated with a country or a certain theme, so it can go on any special playlist. You never know. There might be a specialty playlist for exactly what you're doing that you get on. So
that symphonic trap jazz playlist.
Exactly. 100%.
Where's that at?
Trap jazz caviar.
Yeah, exactly. 7.5 billion listeners.
Right. I just wanted to ask while we're on the topic, and these are all super huge gems, and thank you for sharing with the listeners. First off, thanks for taking the time and sharing everything tonight. Like, it's been a very insightful conversation. I'm sure people are going to love this episode. I have to ask, as somebody that's been in it as long as you have, like, maybe for some of our younger listeners, like, if you could tell 2010 Chris Paxton a piece of advice, like, where was your head at that time, and what have you learned in like the last 10 years that you'd go back and tell yourself?
I was thinking really big back then, right? When I was like, I got this going on. I'm gonna run a recording studio. I'm working with rappers. I'm doing dope stuff. I would say just like, I don't think I was like super cocky back then, but I've definitely like mellowed out. Man, what would I tell myself? I would say just keep on. If you love what you're doing, then there's no reason not to spend the time to get better at it. So yeah, it's time well spent, and I'm happy with all the choices that I've made in my life to get me here. So if you're really passionate about music and you want to make it work for you, I'm sure you're going to figure out a way. So yeah, and the people that win and the people that succeed are the people that keep doing it, because it's really easy to give up at doing music. So I would say, just keep on keeping on, and but don't be a dumbass and be like, oh, I'm going to make all my money off music and quit your job. And like, you have to do this type of transfer thing. So you can have, you making your money and you have your passion, and then just slowly do that. And then that gets weird, because then your passion is what you're making your money at. And then you always have to be doing that. And then it's like, wait, is this my passion anymore? So now I bought an e-bike, and now I'm riding my bike around. And like, this is my new passion. Hopefully I'll stop engineering and be able to just ride my e-bike all day.
Professional e-bike rider.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get some sponsor logos down the side of it like NASCAR.
Hey, I'm already planning on getting stickers, Action Paxton stickers on it. So
hey, you be your own sponsor. See, there you go, man. Pay yourself first, right?
Mad Max shit, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else I'd tell my younger self.
That's great advice for sure. I've definitely been there.
Smoke a little less weed.
Also been there. Also very sound advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And anything else on that like release rollout? We got to like up to the point where you're in the system, but like once the day the song drops, and for that like window, what is your process for making sure humans listen?
So the simplest thing, just sharing directly from Spotify to your Instagram profile. I almost feel like we don't even talk about anything else besides Spotify. It's kind of crazy, but that's how we all consume music. So yeah, it hopefully more platforms will be this easy to share stuff and just have that kind of interaction. I feel like they kind of pushed it, and that's what has put them in the forefront, as far as, because it's artists that are pushing it, and it's just really easy to navigate for people. But taking your release, sharing it on your Instagram story, sharing it on your Snapchat story, just basic thing, maybe have some witty banter in there, have that come up. So that's in your story that people can click on. I'll do posts, just letting people know that the track came out. Sometimes I'll do like an extra picture of me and the artist, and then like a stupid picture of like something else, just to have a carousel, have like different types of posts. So do a reel, do a story, do this and that. I'm in the process of putting together an email list because I'm not really active on Facebook anymore, and I want to just be able to tell people very politely, very non-obtrusively that I have a new song coming out. So I want to reach them via email. I think that's going to be my new tactic moving forward. And it's such a valuable thing to have, that just your whole contact list. It's ridiculous what you can do with that.
Totally.
And then reaching out to other people that might not necessarily be a musician, but so I have a friend that can stand on her hands and shoot a bow and arrow. And I'm going to have her do a TikTok video for the song. Kung Fu's like, girl, you got too much time on your hands. You ain't got no time for a man. And she's just standing there on her hand shooting a bow and arrow. And it's like, yeah, you do have a lot of time on your hands if you can learn how to do that. So just being clever on like how to cross market things. And I usually like push a song for about a week. And every day just do like one thing, not like tweet. There's no reason to do that. But every day, if you release or if you put something out, at least a few new eyes that didn't see your last one will see. So, even songs that are 10 years old, you could still push that because there's millions of people in the world that have never heard your song. I guarantee it, no matter how old it is. So yeah, I usually push it for about billions.
Billions and billions.
Yeah. 1 billion. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man.
And then take over the world, like Dr. Evil.
Yeah, man. So tell our listeners at home where they could find you, what your socials are, how they can keep up with all this dope shit you're working on.
Well, I wish my socials were at Action Paxton because that'd be awesome. But there's a dude somewhere in the world and he has Action Paxton. And I keep hitting him up. I'm like, dude, you say you never go on Instagram. Give me your handle. But so everything is at Paxton Drums, except I think on TikTok now I'm Action Paxton, even though I barely used it. But I'm planning on learning that. Spotify on Action Paxton, SoundCloud Action Paxton. And then if you're interested in Motherwolf, the record label, you could go to motherwolf.com. Or if you want to know more about my recording studio, it's nexusaudiostudio.com, and that's in Oakland, California. And I also manage another studio, Motherwolf Studios in SF, but you can find it at that place. So that is my life to you and all the ways you can get a hold of me.
Hell yeah.
Without giving you my phone number. Don't call me unless I give you my phone number.
Cool.
Well, all right. Man. Thanks, man. We appreciate you for being here so much, Chris, bro. So many gems.
Thanks for coming on.
The humans, man. And definitely, man, come back, man. Everybody check the links right down there. They're right down there to find where you can get an Action Paxton, where you can get a Motherwolf, and definitely where you can get at these songs.
You can get an Action hat too.
Ooh,
yeah, bro.
Bro, if I wore hats, I'd be all over that, son. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Make sure to send me those links so they could be in that description.
Will do. And then if there's any dojo people out there that are in LA that want to hook up and meet up, I'm always trying to meet new people. So holler. We can be COVID safe and meet outdoors and have a picnic.
Yeah, social distance picnic, y'all.
Yeah. Well, dope. Thank you guys for putting this on and giving all these people little tidbits of knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing your story with the people and spending some time with us tonight. It's awesome kicking it with you, man.
Yeah, likewise, man.
For sure. All right. Peace out, humans, and peace among worlds.
What?
I like it.
Man, another dope episode. We got 40 in the books. Woo woo! So, just want to thank you guys all for being here. Remember to smash that like, subscribe, follow, share, and all those good things. Hit the bell so you're notified. And make sure to support our sponsors. Who are they again? Oh yeah, the weekly download. Access to over 200 lessons from our mentor, Il Gates, over at Producer Dojo. Yup, Gvngaroo Records music distribution. unlimited uploads for under $10. You will not find a better deal on distro. All right? Make sure you go check out Gvngaroo, GVNGAROO, at bouncegang.com. GVNG. That's right. Finally, guest practices with our dude Seth Drake. Yeah, the same Seth Drake that Action Paxton couldn't stop talking about how much he learned from. All right? You get the first class free with guest practices. You get to go in there, see the amazing teaching. Trust me, it only took one class to sell me on how amazing this was, and I have leveled up so much as a result of Seth Drake's teachings. All right? Till next week, y'all. Peace and peace among worlds.